Welcome to Final Expense Telesales. I'm Dana Neeson. Thank you so much for being here. This week in training with my team, we are putting a heavy focus on objection handling at the end. And we listened to 3 calls today. We just started at the moment we gave pricing, and we listened to the last 3 to 10 minutes of the call. And in all 3 calls, we heard the same thing. I'm going to reveal what that was, as well as what to do different to close a much higher percentage of your sales right now. So stick around. If you are just now finding this channel, my name is Dana Neeson. I run a telesales team for Tailored Legacy. We sell final expense insurance over the phone with one carrier. My job is to try and help you have stronger, more sophisticated sales conversations. All right, so you spent 30, 40, 50 minutes on the call with someone. You've invested your time, your energy. This is definitely going to end in a sale, right? Wrong. You get to the end, you give them the price, you hear a concern, and then you start overselling. In training today and in training tomorrow and for the rest of the week, we're going to pull up callback after callback after callback, which means that these calls ended in a callback, not a sale. And the direction that the agents choose to took the call. That doesn't sound right to me. Where they chose to take the call. And every single time we heard, let's try to push forward instead of pausing and go back. The theme of objection handling is to always just go back. If you got to put that somewhere on your computer, put it in front of you where you can see it. If you need that constant reminder, that is absolutely what you must remember when you get your first concern. And that is the whole key. Objection handling doesn't start when you get the objection. Objection handling typically starts a little bit before that, when you start getting the clues. Let me give you an example. We listened to a call today, and it was important for the customer to have traditional burial. And we started, and the customer was also getting up there in age, I think 77. So the agent quoted him for a reasonable coverage amount that was $180 a month. Now, the initial response from the customer was a little bit taken back. It was, okay, wow. And then what happened in this critical moment is the agent kept selling, reminding the customer of the features and the benefits, justifying the cost, continuing to talk and making it more about pushing her way into the sale. Now, this is not unusual to just my agents. I mean, this happens to everybody. So in that moment, when you hear the clues, the or the wows or the anxiety or anything you hear, that is your moment where objection handling has begun. So instead of overselling, instead of justifying, you have to talk about it. Hey, I heard that sigh. Tell me what you're thinking right now. It's as simple as that. Get the objection out and figure out where the hesitation is. And at that moment, you're going to get it out. I didn't realize it was going to be that expensive, or that was more than what I thought it was going to be. And you're going to start hearing all of the reasons why the customer doesn't want to do it. So you're going to get that out. The second thing you're going to do is agree. I understand. And, I understand that it was probably a little bit more than what you thought it was going to be, at this age and at this point in your life. And then you're going to put it aside. Let's just put that aside for a second. It's really important that I understand so that I know the best way to help you. Is this policy and everything we've talked about today, is this something that you want to have for your wife? Okay, we're going back. Get the buy-in. Well, yes. You're going to maybe get like a yes, but. So you're going to get a yes. Then you're going to keep going back. Tell me all the reasons why you want to have it. Okay, you're going to go recap all the reasons why they want it, the death benefit, the fact that it's whole life, all of those other features that the actual policy provides. Then you're going to talk about the additional benefits that our policy comes with which is the opportunity to advance the death benefit before the death certificate is received. Is that something that you think would help her? And then remind him what he said, all the different things. Okay, so you have to go back before you can go forwards. Once you've gone back and you've gotten him back to an emotional place where he knows this is important, at that point, you're going to ask to make a recommendation. And when you do, you are going to offer a smaller policy size. And another mistake that this particular agent made on this call we listened to was she said, well, you could always just do cremation and get a smaller policy instead. Unfortunately, that just made things worse. The customer did not want to do cremation. And really the conversation needs to be about putting whatever amount of coverage in place that you can to put your family in a better position so that they have the opportunity to celebrate your life the way that you want to be celebrated. And if they have to come out of pocket any amount of money, at least you know that you have the advocacy program that's going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that they are paying a fair price. What are your thoughts on that? Right? Always ask your customer what they feel about the ideas that you're presenting, because it doesn't matter how you feel about it. It only matters how your customer feels about it. So give them the space to contribute to the conversation. Then you make the recommendation for the lower amount. Would that be a reasonable solution, at least to get started? Because if anything ever changes financially for you in the future, you can always apply for more, right? So all we're trying to do is get our customers to change their situation. We're trying to get them to make a change, to put their family in a better position, to do something that's uncomfortable for them to do. It does not have to be an all or none. It does not have to be a burial policy versus a cremation policy. This is just a policy to ease the burden for end-of-life expenses. And that is a really important point that you have to understand. There was another call we listened to that was probably a little bit more difficult, where the agent gave the woman the price. Again, she got a little taken aback by the cost of it. And we had some child writers on there, and she just stopped the agent in his tracks and said, listen to me. I need you to do this, this, and this, and call me back, right? And she was so strong and so forthcoming with the direction that the rest of this call was going to go. The agent kind of withdrawed, and she was saying all the things that he wanted to hear, which was, I want this policy. I'm definitely going to buy this policy. I just, need to wait until XX date to make sure I can pay for it. He tried to overcome that objection immediately with, you can push the start date out. That is a mistake. Why is it a mistake? Because that is never, the first objection you get is typically never the real objection. It is usually the easiest one and the surface level one that your customers will offer to you. So anytime you get resistance at all, you always, again, want to go back, right? So let's just say her name is Betty. Hey, Betty, I hear you. We are so close to being done. Let's just put this aside for the moment. I have a really important question to ask you. Is this policy something that you want to have for you and your kids? Yes, I do, but cut her off at the but. Good. Tell me why you want it. Go back to the reason they wanted it in the first place, and then, and only then, could you make a recommendation to go lower? I know that's not the amount of coverage that you initially wanted. I'm hearing there may be a concern of the cost right now, which is fine. This is not something we can't overcome today. But my recommendation would be to maybe consider starting with a lower amount of coverage that feels really comfortable for you now. You still don't have to make a payment today, but at least that will put you in a better position than you are in today, which is not having anything at all. Is that a reasonable solution? What are your thoughts on that? And you stay there, and you have to continue to stay there and fight for the decision. Do not just be okay with the excuses and the promises and the callbacks, because 9 times out of 10, you will never hear from them again. All 3 calls we listened to today, again, not pre-planned, I just picked them randomly. As soon as we heard the initial concern, the agent kept overselling or immediately answering questions. Third example, third call. We had someone who thought the $8,000 policy was too expensive. He said, I cannot even go over $8,000 even if I wanted to, but go ahead and tell me how much $10,000 and $15,000 would be. And what did the agent do? Gave the quote for the $10,000 and the $15,000. That was a mistake. Why was it a mistake? Because if we can't afford the $8,000 now, and we continue to stay in logic-based thinking and continue to just do what the customer asks us to do, we're going to continue to walk ourselves into more and more sales resistance and give more and more pricing for something he still can't afford. So instead, I appreciate you wanting to know what the additional policy coverages are and what they cost. However, you just shared with me that even the $8,000 felt a little bit unaffordable. So let's just put that aside for a second. You see the pattern here? Let's just put that aside for a second. Do you think that this policy and everything that it provides for your family is something you even want to have? And you go back and recap the benefits of why they wanted to get a policy, what would happen if they didn't do anything, what does it look like for their family if they do? Go over the features that they really liked about the FCGS, and then you make a suggestion to go lower. You don't go higher at all. You're literally walking yourself in to the inevitable. So we make a recommendation to go lower because usually it's a price objection, right? We're dealing with people who are living on a fixed income and are afraid to part with any amount of money that they need to survive and put food on the table. So we make a recommendation to go lower after we've gone back and revisited the value. And then we say, look, any amount of coverage that you can put in place today to ease the burden for tomorrow is going to be better than having nothing at all. And even a $5,000 coverage would go a heck of a long way. It would give them such a good head start towards whatever else they might have to come up with in addition to the $5,000. But doing nothing, staying where you are, that is the only decision that's a bad decision at this point. So do you feel the $5,000 policy at XX coverage or price? Do you think that feels a little bit more comfortable for you to take on today? And again, you don't need to make a payment today. We can align this up with your Social Security. How does that feel? Okay, you come to a mutually agreeable decision that both solves their problem and makes them feel more comfortable about moving forward today and recreating that urgency. That is the only way you will be far more successful in getting people to move forward with you. If you get the clues, if you get the hesitations, and you keep pushing and marching forward, that sales resistance is going to continue to go up. And if you miss that moment where you could have started the objection handling process then, and you keep going until it's too late, and when it's too late is when they say things like, well, I got your number, I'll call you back. Or, I got to go, I have to run out to a doctor appointment. Like, you get their urgency to end the call. It's too late at that point. You've missed the window to really walk them through the moment to overcome their concerns. So I hope that helps. To recap, we listen for the clues for the objections and the concerns. It might not be a real objection. It'll just be a moment, a concern, a hesitation, something in disguise. Address it. Put it aside. Go back to why they want it. Make a recommendation to maybe consider something smaller to change their situation, knowing that when things change, they can always apply for more. And then ask, would that be a reasonable solution? And that will give you far better results than to push your way into further sales resistance, more objections, and more frustration. If you learned anything from this video, please give it a like. Also, I would love to hear your thoughts on this sequencing. Please post a comment. I'd love to hear from you. If you want information on how to join my team, the contact information is in the description below, and I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great sales day.